Folks, we are so lucky to have the concierge of small business administration or SBA loans on the channel each and every week. The one and only Bo Eckstein. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, other than the fact that my computer went out and I'm on my other computer, but that's why we always need two computers.
Exactly. Yeah, you needed a plan B really quick, and we appreciate you for setting that up so quickly. You've been on the channel now for about 4 months. You have helped probably hundreds of one rental at a time students at this point. So I'm curious, when you think about the questions that come in from ORAT community, what maybe are the top two, three, four, so that we can answer them in this video and maybe make those future phone calls even more efficient? What are the common questions they have?
Common questions. One is, what's the SBA loan process? The other common question is, I'm just getting started. How do I find a business that aligns with my interests and talents? Those are the top two questions, I would say. And then the additional question is, how do I get creative on the financing structures? How do I finance these deals with little to no money out of pocket, right? Everybody wants little to no money out of pocket.
Absolutely.
And I think the fourth topic would be, what's the difference between starting a business from the ground
Mm.
up versus buying an existing business? So we talk a lot about franchising. So why might somebody want to buy a franchise and start it versus, buy an existing business?
That's cool. Well, let's break those four down and let's kind of double click on each of those. So the first one that I noted down is the basic process of SBA financing. Why don't you break that down, double click on that one so that we can help folks?
Sure. So if you're buying an existing business, we need 3 years of seller's financials and a year to date, right? We're making sure that the cash flow is strong to support our new loan proceeds. That's really the basics. Now, from a borrowing standpoint, what do your 3 years of financials look like? We look at global cash flow. So if you have a lot of reoccurring debts, your global cash flow might be out of line. It's not DTI, but it's a similar concept, but just more of a global picture. What's your credit score? Do you have any DROGs, any BKs, any felonies in the past? These are things that we want to know. But if it's a make sense deal, meaning you have somewhat experience or you're buying a business that's got great cash flow, that qualification process is pretty easy. Now, if I'm going from being a W-2 employee to buying a boutique motel, I don't have hospitality experience. We got to paint the picture. That's why it's important to do the resume. But really, you're looking for a 660 or better credit score, somebody with a good business plan, buying a good cash flowing business, or has a good vision for the startup or a franchise. And it's pretty easy. So if you're starting from scratch and not buying a franchise, it's a little bit more challenging because there's no business model. A franchise is a business in a box. You follow the recipe and you should be successful. Now, granted, not every franchise is successful, because it's just like in real estate. You talk to one person and they're extremely successful flipping houses. The other person has failed miserably. Same thing with business. It's the same principles.
Yeah, I love that. And let's give them one more detail on the basic process. Give them the timeline.
Timeline is, once you have the seller's financials in your initial package, it's typically a 10-day turn time to get a term sheet. Okay, a letter of interest, a term sheet. From there, you're going to be assigned a processor. Depending on the complexity of the deal, we should have a loan commitment within the next 30 days. If there's appraisal needed, so forth. So it really depends if there's CRE, commercial real estate involved, or if it's just a straight business deal. If it's sub 500,000, you can close deals in as quickly as 30 days. If it's more complex, you're 60, 90, sometimes 120 days. And it also depends on you, the sponsor, the borrower. You got to be super responsive. I will tell you, there's a ton of paperwork. We're closing on the acquisition of a painting company, and we got to get the titles for the vehicles. We have to do, AR, accounts receivable. There's a lot of paperwork, but if you understand the process and you have a good relationship with the business broker and the seller, they get it. They might get frustrated, just like when you're trying to close on a house. You got to keep the communication open.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, let's double click on number two. Where do you find these businesses that are for sale?
So, most people start on like biz buy sell, and there's some aggregators that you can pay money and they'll send you new businesses on the market in your inbox. I think the one service is like $75 a month, and they'll send you. So it's like a lead aggregator of businesses for sale. I'm actually thinking about subscribing just to see what kind of businesses are popping up. Business brokers obviously are good. And then you can also go direct to sellers, right? Off-market transactions. Very similar concepts to what we do in real estate investing is you're doing in business acquisition. The difference is that you're going to really look for advisors to these business owners, financial planners. You're going to look at CPAs. Those are the people, when you're introducing yourself on LinkedIn or wherever. Hey, my name is Bo. I'm looking to acquire this type of business. I know you work with small business owners. If there's anything that ever fits in the future, that's one attack. Or maybe you need a CPA and you kind of get in the back door that way. So it's just the same thing. I think we really got to look at principles of like etiquette of how to get people to send you deals.
Absolutely.
I think that's a big part of this as well. Just like in real estate, like some people have tons of deal flow because they built those relationships. And like maybe Zuber's not going out and doing direct mail anymore, but he's proved himself to do what he says and close on deals he says he's going to buy. Same thing. I outlined this for you guys here. It's the best ways to work with a business broker. Respect the NDA, the non-disclosure agreement, right? Like when you reach out to somebody, if you don't sound committed, they're not going to spend time with you. If you sound like a serious buyer, they're going to spend time with you. So just think about that. Like these business brokers are getting hit up on biz buy sell like 24/7. And so why are they going to talk to you? Because they think you're serious and they think you're qualified. And that's how you got to position yourself.
Yeah, very cool. Well, let's talk about creative financing. I actually believe, but you can tell me I'm wrong, it's easier to get a zero down or little down deal in buying a small business than real estate. We love to talk about it in real estate. I've done zero down deals. I think they're more the unicorn than reality, but I think small business purchases, a lot more common, zero down or little down, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, when you're selling a business, the business owners, it's like almost expected you're going to get some seller carry. So it's so much more customary than in real estate. And unless real estate market goes like crashes, that's when people get desperate to like right now there's low inventory. So, it's not as many people unless they need to move and they're over leveraged or they're going to sell or carry. So on a business, yes, you're almost expecting you're going to structure at least 5 or 10% as a seller carry. And that gives you enough equity to close with little down. Remember, we're going to get 90% total project cost. That's purchase price plus working capital plus employee salary. That's going to be financed with the SBA, assuming the cash flow is good. 5% at least on full standby, which needs to be on standby for 2 years. And then we just got to come up with 5%. Actually, the guidelines has changed, and it really says that you don't need to come in with anything. But banks use what they call prudent lending, and no banks are going to do that. So you got to just paint the picture. So just expect, if you're a good deal structure, 5% equity injection, and that can come from an investor partner. So it's pretty simple.
And then the final double click, we're going to talk about starting versus buying a business. I got to tell you, in the environment we are in, I have no idea why you would start a business from scratch. The uplift would be crazy. I would assume you'd rather buy somebody with a book of business and referrals, but maybe I'm wrong. Let's talk about starting versus buying a pre-existing business.
Sure. In a perfect world, everybody thinks, yes, like buying an existing business or, getting something that already got money and employees and everything in place. Yeah, it does make more sense to a certain degree because you're moving in and it's already running. I would say that the difference is you're paying a 2 to 3x multiplier of net income versus like if you look at some of these service-based franchises, you can get in with a total project cost of 150,000. So maybe you have a 6-month ramp up, but now I'm all in at 150 versus 3 or 4 or 500,000. So that's why you may want to look at a franchise startup. It's a business in a box, a blueprint, you got support versus a non-franchise business where you're getting in there and you're the sole, you got to figure out how to run this thing. And it could be an oddball type of business. I was just on a podcast yesterday. The guy's a big YouTuber I got to introduce you to. He specializes in laundromats. So he'd be interesting to get on the show because I know a lot of you talk to a lot of one run all the time. Jordan would be a great resource. But yeah, I mean, it's just like that. If we can buy an existing laundry facility versus starting from one from the scratch, the question really becomes it's easier to start a franchise because it's just easy. Where finding a business that aligns with what you're looking to do is way more in depth. It's just like trying to buy a fixer versus trying to buy a turnkey rental property. I can go out and just get a turnkey
Yeah.
rental property. It's the same principle. So you
Okay.
got to think
I
about
like
it
it.
that way. Yeah.
So what's right for you, the buyer? You got to have your buy box. What are you looking to do? What fits your needs? So I appreciate you double clicking on this. You are the concierge to small business loans. How would somebody reach out, book a call?
Just go to my name, boeckstein.biz. It'll take you to an appointment calendar. You click on one rental at a time and book a call. I'll spend 15 minutes with you and we'll discuss whatever you want related to financing or
Awesome,
business
folks. Again,
acquisition.
boeckstein.biz. Go there and schedule a call. Thanks, buddy.